All right, welcome back, everybody. Driveline, Eric, all that good stuff. If you're new to the channel, be sure and subscribe. I'm going to talk a little bit here in a few minutes about business, winning and losing, and give you my take on some things, and try to answer a few questions that have been down in the comments about profit and loss and all that good stuff. It will probably take a few more videos, so bear with me. It's currently 3:40 in the morning. I should be at a dock right now, but that's not going to happen. So real quick, I want to give you guys I want to give the regular subscribers an update. And if you're thinking about coming into refrigerated freight, this should be relevant to you. There's always some comments about, oh, that's just prime. Guys, there's 3 trucks parked on this street, which is just some back street in the country of Oklahoma. That right there is I don't know if you guys can see that, but that is a marijuana grow facility for the dispensaries. But there's 3 trucks behind me on this side of the street. None of them are prime, and they were all sent over here by the guard shack, which is over there. The guy behind me I talked to, he has the same problem that I do. I don't know. He looks like it's a long nose, so I don't know if he's off the spot market or what. But I will tell you that this is pretty much prevalent in reefer freight. So you just gotta know that coming into this business, you had better be able to problem solve. There's a lot of problem solving, and I can get into some of that in the next couple videos. I probably will. But there's a lot of problem solving. Now, granted, a lot of this is just driving a truck, and you don't have to think too much about it other than not being distracted. But there's definitely some significant problem solving, and you'd better be ready to just put on your armor and pull it together, because when you get into a scenario where you've got to do some significant problem solving, there's no air support. There's nobody that's going to come in and save the day. You got to figure it out. And so there's that. But the second thing is you got to have some pretty extreme patience, and know that you're going to be thrown sideways through no fault of your own, quite frequently. And that is just the name of the game in refrigerated freight. So, my current situation is that I had a scenario yesterday morning. Well, I'll save that for the next video to talk about problem solving, because I had some problem solving to do. And I had some choices to make, some things to figure out. Got it all figured out. No big deal. It's just a part of refrigerated freight. But I have this load that is, my appointment is for 0300. It's 3:40 and I'm out here on the street. Now, why is that? Well, apparently this receiver this week, today is Thursday, so this week ended their night shift. They no longer have night shift. No longer have night shift at this facility, and it's not like for this week. It's from here forward, foreseeable future. There's no night shift. But either they haven't communicated that with, this is a big company, I'm not going to say who it is, but either they haven't communicated that with, the national whatever, whoever's organizing and setting up these appointments, or I don't know. There's some kind of mess up somewhere in the communication channels, and you can't have a 3 o'clock appointment, a.m. appointment. There's nobody here to unload trailers. These 3 trucks behind me, they all have pre-6 a.m. appointments, and there's nobody that's going to be over there until 6 a.m. The lady at the guard shack's like, yeah, I don't know why they're setting these appointments. We've been having this problem all week. There's no more pre-6 a.m. appointments. So now I have this whole plan, because there's wind kicking up. There's 32 mile per hour winds, which is tolerable in an empty trailer, but the direction is in a favorable direction unless I go west. So I had this whole plan to beat the wind. I know where my washouts are. I've delivered here before, so I know I should have the trailer empty in an hour or so. It's pretty quick on the paperwork. So, I got the whole plan, the whole morning planned out. And then I get here on time when I'm expected and supposed to be, when I agree to be here. And there's no 3 a.m. appointment honored, okay? So now I'm just sitting out here on the street. And they wouldn't give me a number. It's way too far to walk. So now I got to start the truck and drive over there instead of just continuing at a split break to find out if they're going to be able to unload me here in a little bit when I can go check. Because apparently now we are work-ins because they've got appointments. They have trucks coming in. Excuse me, I'm still fighting this cold. They have trucks coming in with 6, 7, and 8 o'clock appointments. So it just is what it is. That's the name of the game. You do what you're supposed to do. You show up where you're supposed to be, and you're at the mercy of everybody else. You're at the mercy of a broker or of a carrier or a sales department or the schedules for the customers, and they can all throw you sideways. You can have a great plan and then get punched in the neck. And there's not a damn thing you can do about it. And don't think that you're going to come into refrigerated freight for some other carrier and avoid this problem. This problem is persistent throughout refrigerated freight trucking, okay? So just let that be in your head. You'll see comments down below that says, oh, this is a Prime problem. It is not a Prime problem. There are problems exclusive to Prime related to refrigerated freight. But having your whole scenario thrown sideways through no fault of your own is not unique to Prime. Don't listen to those comments. That's going to be throughout the industry. All right. So let me get into this business thing. Someone sent me a video by some small YouTuber out there that was apparently clowning on me. I didn't watch the video. I don't watch these videos. It's nothing new that someone out there wants to talk shit on me. And usually what the case is they want me to do a response video so they can get views. So I'll send them traffic and views and all that good stuff. Not going to do it. Not only am I not going to do it, I'm not even going to watch the damn video. It just doesn't matter to me. My concern is my family and feeding my family, and I'm doing a great job of that. So, people talking shit, look, I drive for Prime. There's no shortage of people who want to get into the comments or make content talking shit about me. And not only that, but I've been at Prime for almost 7 years, pulling Prime freight. And I went through a time where I had extreme loss while pulling Prime freight. So there's a lot of people out there that look at me and say, why are you still there? Why would you still do what you're doing after what you've been through? Why would you do that? Now, a lot of these individuals that I see out there talking smack about other drivers with other carriers, there seems to be this common trend. And the common trend that I see is they'll present themselves as people who know and understand business and present me and others as if we're ignorant and don't know and understand business. Yet, if you go back and look at everything they say, all they talk about is failure in business. Some of it could be their fault, some of it may not be their fault, but there's just this history of them just talking about failure in business. So the first thing is, I don't take advice from someone who just has this long history of failure. Second of all, they talk as if trucking should only be winning. Running a business in trucking should only be winning. That's what they don't come out and say you should only win, but they talk as if you should only win. There should never be any losses. Now, if you truly understand business and especially entrepreneurship, you will understand that there are wins and there are losses, especially in trucking. And I'm sure there's other industries where that's the case too. But in trucking, you had better be prepared for the quite strongly possible, inevitable loss that you're going to take, the hit you're going to take. the hurdles, the valleys. It's not all mountains and it's not all winds. And again, that's a case in all entrepreneurship and business and startup and whatever. Look, I read a lot of, listen to a lot of audiobooks and listen to a lot of podcasts of successful business people, big and small. And there's a common theme of bankruptcy, failed businesses, failed attempts to make something, failed attempts to build something. This whole idea that it should just always be winning is absurd, especially when it's coming from someone who's lecturing you on being successful in business. And that person has no successful history in business. And I'm not pretending that I have all the answers and know all the answers. And I'm also not going to pretend that I won't fail again, because maybe I will. I think that it's just really important to understand that in most businesses that you try to start, most entrepreneurship, there's going to be wins and there's going to be losses. And you can quit when you're losing, or you can keep going and figure out how to learn from those losses and those hits and apply that in a way that can help you win moving forward, or at least win more moving forward. But the idea that in trucking you should always be winning is, especially when I hear it from people that are telling me that I don't know anything about business. And it's like, where are you getting that from? Where are you getting the idea that there's only up, there should only be upside, and there should only be wins, and there should never be losses, and there should never be failures? And here's another thing. When there are losses and failures, a lot of these people want to blame everybody else, somebody else. They don't take any responsibility. They don't take any blame themselves. It's somebody else's fault. If I'm not always winning, it's someone else's fault. That is also should be a red flag to you. If you're seeing someone out there in social media talk the way that I'm telling you that I'm seeing people talk, big red flags. They look at someone's hit or loss or misstep or failure and say that shouldn't happen, that should never happen, that shouldn't be possible. And then they'll say, if you're not winning, then it's somebody's fault. Now, you'll notice something about the video I said about losing my trucks. I said it was my fault. I didn't blame anybody else. I didn't blame a carrier. I didn't blame a contract that I signed that was very clear and very transparent, and I fully understood what I was signing. There was no misleading. There was no scam about it. I knew exactly what I was getting into. And look, this truck that I'm in is paid off. I've successfully completed this lease purchase. And I get it. I know all of it. My Peterbilt, my other truck, just had a $600 repair on an APU that's no longer under warranty. I know all of, none of this is a surprise to me, okay? But I didn't blame anybody else. I don't blame Thermo King for that APU breaking down. I don't blame Prime for it now being out of warranty. The thing's got 10,000 hours. The fan broke apart and tore through the belt, and it was $600. It has 10,000 hours. I don't blame anybody for that. It happens. So, huge red flags. Just always, I should always be winning in trucking. You should always be winning in trucking. And if you're at a carrier where you're losing, or you lost a truck, or you had to downsize, or you had to do this and this, you're just stupid. You should always be winning. And if you're not always winning, it's somebody else's fault. It's the carrier's fault. It's the contract's fault. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't give zero credibility to someone who talks like that, because here's a hard lesson for you that might be getting into this. You are going to have valleys. It's not all mountains, and you're going to make mistakes. You're going to make bad choices, and you're going to trip, and you're probably going to have some loss. Okay, like that just, and I've got a lot of lessons to learn too. Some of you may be in your first year, your second year, or maybe you're just starting, or maybe you're in third year. I'm telling you, I'm coming up on 7 and I got a lot to learn. I don't know everything. I don't know half of everything. I have a lot to learn. But I've taken my hits and I've learned from that, and I've made myself better, and I've made my business better. And I am now in a better position than I've been in a long time with these 2 trucks that I have. I'm in a great position. I make the money I want to make. I'm home the time that I want to be home. Of course, I want to be home more. I always want to be home more. If I'm not home 100% with my family, then I want to be home more. But I am home. My home versus being out on the road ratio is great. And probably one of the biggest reasons that I don't take my trucks out of the prime fleet right now is because all that I've been through these past 6+ years, the pain, the agony, the victories, and the success, all that I've been through, I've now reached a point where I feel I'm finally reaping the benefit of all of that great adventure. Now is the time where it's doing for me what I hoped that it did. Now, you could say, yeah, but that took you 6+ years. Okay, say whatever you're going to say. But I'm just saying that now, and I'm not going to get into my numbers, but I would just tell you guys, it's solid, okay? Anybody who owns their truck outright, you should have a pretty good idea of what it's going to look like. My weekly fixed costs are $115. That's my weekly fixed cost. And that's just this truck. And that's basically insurance and a couple other little odds and ends. So you do the math. You do the math and understand. Now, would I have preferred to have all 4 of my trucks paid off now? Of course. And still with me? Of course. But I made bad decisions. I let my cost absolutely balloon at a time when revenues were in the gutter. And it just pounded me into the ground. And that's not just because I pull freight for Prime. You guys watch the news, you listen to what's going on out there. There's trucking companies all over the country right now going under, big and small. 1 truck, 2 truck carriers, 150 truck carriers, 600 truck carriers, all going underwater. So don't listen to this nonsense of, well, that's a Prime problem. And again, guys, I'm not like trying to sell you on Prime. I'm just saying, like, this is why I don't give a lot of credibility to a lot of the comments that I see, because I know what I'm living and breathing. What I'm living and breathing is what my settlements are for the amount of work that I do. And I'm home 3 weeks and I run 3 weeks. So I know what that money looks like, and I'm telling you, it's what I want and need it to be, and my home time is what I want and need it to be. So that's really what it comes down to. I don't care if it's Prime's MC numbers on the side of the tractor, or it's Landstar's, or it's somebody else. If I'm where I want to be financially as far as what I'm doing weekly and my home time with my family, then those are the numbers I want on my truck. And right now, those numbers happen to be Prime. That's all it is. That's my relationship with Prime as a carrier. So hopefully that answers some of those questions. I'm kind of addressing like 10 comments right now, but that's kind of, I'm just letting you guys know kind of my perspective and why I don't do reaction videos to a lot of this other stuff. Like, I'm just not going to draw attention to it. And like I said, I don't even watch it. I really don't. I think there's been 3 pretty big, well, I wouldn't say pretty big. This one the other day is not really a big channel, but 3 videos coming after me in the past 4 or 5 weeks, I think, which is nothing new. This has been happening for years. Nothing new at all. I got a thick skin, and I'm happy that they're sending me traffic and subscribers, but I'm not gonna reciprocate it. I feel like you are real lacking in creativity if your way of getting views and growing your channel is attacking others personally on social media. I feel like that is really kind of exposes a lot about your character, and I'm just not going to do it. The only time that I've ever done it was with Brent years ago, and that was kind of an internal thing, and he and I talked afterwards. And that was insider baseball stuff that, anyway. So yeah, I don't pay attention to this stuff. It doesn't bother me. It doesn't offend me. I don't take it personally. I just don't give it any credibility. I don't give it any credit because, again, a lot of these people have this history of nothing but failure. And they talk as if there should only be wins. And if there's not wins, it's somebody else's fault. And sometimes it is. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. But no matter what, that's a part of the game. That is a part of the game. And if you can't accept that, don't come play this one. Because you're going to get punched in the jaw. And it could be a shipper that you've got an appointment for that sends you out to the street and just, yeah, screw your appointment. That's not what we're doing. Or it could be months and months and months of you not getting a paycheck. Or it could be, in my case, I've got to turn a truck in. You know what I mean? Like, it could be small or it could be large, but you're going to take those hits and they're going to hurt and they're going to suck. But that's the game. Because if you can find a way to work your way through those and learn from those scenarios, you will experience the wins. And that's what I'm experiencing right now. Now, someone asked, are you looking at your profit and loss since you lost those trucks? Well, first of all, my profit and loss, my P&L is really, I look at it annually. In fact, I look at it quarterly. But what you have to understand for the person who left that comment is back, and by the way, I didn't turn these trucks in like last month. This was like early last year, okay? So I have 2 trucks right now, but it wasn't about looking back at the past and saying, oh my God, I think I put like 10,000 down on those 2 trucks, I think, if I remember correctly, roughly 10 or 11,000 down. I don't remember the exact amount. So, it's $20,000 plus between the 2 trucks. But it wasn't looking at the past and saying, well, I'm not going to turn these in because I put that money down. I spent that money. That's not the way I looked at it. The way I looked at it is these trucks are costing me thousands of dollars every week because I can't get out of the hole. The cost is too great. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I had 4 payments at the time. Like I said, almost $20,000 a month just in truck payments. So, and inflation was going through the roof and I had lots of driver problems. So when I'm sitting there looking at the right now and I'm seeing thousands of dollars going further into the hole every week, I have to make a decision right then and there because that quarter's P&L is going to be absolutely devastating if I don't do something drastic. Stop the hemorrhaging. Triage time. Okay? So I went into triage mode and I saved the leg. You know what I mean? So did I do the right or the wrong thing? Well, sitting where I'm sitting now, absolutely. Now, I probably did the wrong thing. As I said in that video, did the wrong thing when I took on 4 truck payments without a paid off truck. That's where the wrong thing occurred. But you can't be perfect. You can't always make great decisions. You can only strive to make good decisions. And that's why I end every video with that message. Be safe, make good decisions, always strive to thrive. That's what I end every, and it's just, So anyway, kind of all over the map. This is a little bit longer video than I wanted, but I was trying to kill some time. And, I was reading through some comments and it just made me kind of think of all that. So, hopefully that helps answer some of the comments, and then I'll get into some more of it here in the next few days. But Anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to roll my windows back down. It's getting stuffy in here. It's 74 degrees right now with 30-mile-per-hour winds that are going across my truck right this way. So this is the first day in, I think, months. Not months, but certainly in a while where I've been able to crack my windows and it cool my truck down. Granted, it's in the middle of the night, but man, it's been so hot that I'm just really enjoying that. But it's just too noisy with the wind hauling through, so that's why I had to roll them up for this video. All right, guys. As I said, be safe, make good decisions, always drive to thrive. I'll talk to y'all soon.